Welcome to the stream. My name is SaSeshen. I am sorry that was a much longer intro than before. And right, oh, okay, the ad break ended. Excellent. That's exactly what I wanted to get into. Is I think I'm going to do longer intros just so one of the ads can run while we're doing the starting soon page. Right. I think that's absolutely ignorant that it's going to run right in the middle of our stream when we're starting to get into our conversation. Something I just realized, I need to pull up all of my correspondence, so if the stream does die on us, we got something going. I also have Spotify playing. I've been having it play on loop in the background. It's very, very quiet, but it is outputting. So hopefully, even when I'm not speaking, it'll be playing just enough to where it won't cause the the stream to fall out. We're gonna do that now. I am wearing a different. Okay, I thought I didn't have my vest. Actually, you can't even see that I'm wearing a vest. I'm wearing my vest, right? See, you can just barely tell I'm wearing it. But all that to say, we're gonna game more today. We're obviously gonna cover some current events. But if I'm being perfectly honest, my throat is dying on me. I'm in the immediate process of brewing tea. And in fact, before we start playing, or while we wait for the game to load, I'm going to go have to grab my tea and sip on that with all the honey that I can find. We're going to be playing Elden Ring. And I used to be really good at the Dark Souls games. I think I almost platinumed Dark Souls, the first one, and I've beaten 2. I probably came close to beating 3, and then I was trying to do too much of the other stuff and never got around to it. But I've been struggling at just the first boss with Elden Ring. We're going to start a new game, though, with the stream, for the stream, because I was playing Elden Ring for my own fun, right? But we're actually going to try and play it correctly. We're going to do a samurai build, the Uchi Tana, as I like to call it. And we're going to do a primary dex build. We're going to play a strong female warrior, because I also created a strong female warrior game called Esoterra the Awakening. There's going to be a Kickstarter, which, again, that's not the point of this channel. But we're also going to be at Origins. Also not the point of this channel. But I might have to be streaming from Origins next week rather than doing this, unfortunately. Or we just take a break. I haven't really quite decided yet. But there are some points that we do need to discuss. The G7 Summit, Supreme Court actually gave abortion rights a win, crazy enough. We never did get around to the Destiny versus Finkelstein clash. That's going to be good entertainment. And then Italy's new prime minister, Giorgia Meloni, it's basically a mafioso, and we need to discuss that. So, 2 seconds. Let me grab my my tea, my cuppa, as it were. Like, don't want to show off my my work pants, as it were. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to get my tea. Ooh, old man. Alright. Okay, so let's get a little bit into the... Oh, wait, you can hear the music? I can't hear the music. That's not intentional. Whoops. Is it overpowering my voice? That's... It is. That's unfortunate. Okay. Well, crap. Let's see. Microphone. We have the default speakers. Not much I can really do about that. Spotify. Oh my goodness, mistakes continue to be made. So I got the Pro out there. And I am not seeing volume mixer? There we go. Damn, it has Spotify super, super low, though. Let's turn it further down. Now is it overpowering? I don't want to turn on my stream to listen to it, because then it'll loop. So you're going to have to tell me. Okay, I can't hear it anymore. That's good. And I just turned up my volume really loud. So I think we're better off now. While I still have a voice, we'll go ahead and cover what we set up, which is Giorgia Milioni first. I guess we have to listen to an ad.
Get the perfect cards.
Last second of it. All right.
Dunque, buongiorno a tutti, grazie. Ringrazio.
Can we just go back and see? I wish I knew how to laugh without it affecting my vocal cords, because my throat's sore. Hello there, Oshun de Samana. I think I definitely like this chat better. I definitely think it's going to give us all that we have been missing. The one thing, though, we're going to have to make the text size a little bigger, because my old ass can barely see that shit. All right. Hello, Ruben. Oh, we got a full house already. First thing out of on 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay. Well, welcome to the stream. And in fact, let's play this over again. It's only 46 seconds. We do have music in the background. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna pause it since we're obviously talking, and there's no reason for it. The idea was if I play music in the background, then my speakers won't go off and it won't disrupt the stream. But I apparently didn't balance it correctly. So, mea culpa. Mi scusi, in honor of Giorgia Meloni, who is being greeted with Bella Ciao at the convention, an anti-fascism song, as it is right there, because she is the alt-right wing Prime Minister of Italia. And you can see her face. Is not thrilled.
Dunque, buongiorno a tutti, grazie.
Grazie. So that was a bit of fun. Giorgia Milioni, we need to do. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. We just needed to. Milione speech. Oh my God, that's right. I forgot about this. God, our creepy old man president just cannot stop being a creepy old man. Look at this. Look at this tripe. Look at this guy. He's walking up, shakes her hand. No, doesn't even shake her hand. Does the European kiss. Look at him. He looks so confused. Oh, I thought he kissed her on the forehead in this one. He literally did, though. Like, that was a thing. It was very awkward for everyone. We got at the G7 again. Doesn't know where he is, wandering off. Excuse me, Grandpa, I mean President, please come back. Look at that. They had to pull him back just so they could do the photo op. But what we really want to do is see the actual speech, not from 5 years ago. Certainly not from a year ago. What the hell? That's what we want. Something similar. Anyway.
Cioè il G7 non è una fortezza chiusa in se stessa che deve magari difendersi da qualcuno, è un'offerta di valori che noi apriamo al mondo chiaramente per avere come obiettivo quello di uno sviluppo condiviso. Parleremo ovviamente delle crisi in atto a partire da Ucraina e Medio Oriente, costruiremo sui lavori della Presidenza giapponese, avanzando sulla necessità di creare catene di approvvigionamento solide e controllabili, su quella che è probabilmente la sfida più complessa del nostro tempo, e cioè l'avvento dell'intelligenza artificiale generativa, chiaramente con la necessità di coglierne le opportunità, governandone i rischi. Lo è per l'Italia intera.
So the G7 summit, for those of you that don't know what that is, it's literally the big seven. That's literally another name for it. The big seven countries in the world, the big seven economies. And what they do is they talk about how they are going to save everybody else and solve everybody else's problems while, of course, benefiting immensely from it. It's not sinister per se. It's not, it doesn't have to be. I didn't have to give it that much of a negative introduction, but arguably that is what happens. Same thing with the G20 summits. Now, when we do it, it's fine, but when Russia does, their thing, and when China goes and talks with BRICS, then it's a problem, and that's kind of the thing, right? G7, BRICS, all of these little, OPECs, and what's another? Well, the EU, for instance. I mean, these are all different organizations with different purposes that involve different countries, but fundamentally say the same thing. This is our club, you ain't in it, we're going to talk about things and not invite you. And Giorgia Milioni, which I'm apparently not finding because I am the worst Googler on the planet. Giorgia Milioni, right-wing extremist. Let's see if we can find that. Here we go. Maybe. Let's see.
Italy 2024.
There we go. There she is.
Il debito dello Stato al zero, l'INPS, la maternità, pagare vuol dire essere criminale, allora forse puoi dire che era un criminale, ma non lo era. Sono mamma, sono nonna, sono cristiana, non sono drogata, non ho mai infranto la legge, ho sempre pagato le tasse. Se tu dici che sì, io sono fascista, ti dico sì. Se tutto questo vuol dire essere fascista, sì, lo sono. Io romanamente saluto il mio capo.
I might be bad at finding these videos, but I am not bad at guesstimating when they start going insane.
Sempre pagato le tasse.
Let's see, it was right after this, right? Does that mean I'm a fascist? Then yes. There's a few phrases that world leaders or elected or people who are vying for leadership positions like the presidency or prime minister of a given country, there's a few phrases one should never say. I'm a fascist, I'm a Nazi, I'm an emperor, I'm an oligarch, I'm a tyrant, I'm a dictator. All these things, right? These are the things that leaders should never say. And I'm afraid to actually say it on the stream because these streams will get saved as such. And then I, with my own voice, said the words, I'm a fascist. And so it won't be difficult for some, scumbag, basically, to come in, clip that, and then run with it on TikTok. But that's the world we live in. However, addressing it is also the world we live in, and we absolutely need to. So, Giorgia Milioni, right, I didn't say that wrong, did I? All right, is a self-proclaimed fascist, and she's trying to brush it off as, Well, I'm a good tax-paying citizen, Christian, and a mother, a grandmother, and I do everything right. Don't ask me why it's Southern. It would actually be Roman, but, you know, Ueni Widi Wiki, right? By the way, it's not Vici, that's Italian. Roman, C's were always K, and they didn't have V's, and it was always pronounced W. Anywho, nerd alert. Giorgia Milioni, there it is now the Italian prime minister, and she is live in interviews saying she's a fascist, and of course, a fascisti is the Italian word of it, and she's trying to say it's a part of the Roma Imperia, and that's also not, like, don't get me wrong, Rome, you know, once you're a white man in your mid to late 30s, you start really getting really into history, and it's either the Roman Empire or World War II, and in my case, it's the Roman Empire. I've been a fan for a very long time. Obviously, I know the Roman Empire committed their own fair share of atrocities, but, you know, hey, we still have July and August as months, right? So they weren't so bad, right? Point is, Giorgia Milioni, as a world leader, who is now trying to bring up discussions about Palestine and Ukraine, is concerning at best, because if her own rhetoric is "I'm a fascist," then that's pretty disturbing. That'd be like if Angela Merkel, which I know she's not, well, she might not. I don't even know who the leader of Germany is at the moment. It's been a minute. But I know when Angelina Merkel was the prime minister of Germany, if she had said anything about Nazis and her affiliating with it, that would have been the line, the straw, the camel, and it would have been broken. So, very disturbing, very concerning, to say the least.
Fascista ti dico,
I
sì.
don't know what else
Se
to say,
tutto
really.
questo vuol dire essere fascista, sì, lo sono. Io romanamente saluto il mio capo di Stato.
And see, I salute. Oh, okay.
Unico e solo capo
Okay, I
di
thought she
Stato.
was talking about the Roman
Mussolini
salute.
made an important statement on the question
It's a
of foreign
salute
policy.
deriving from ancient Rome, adopted by the fascists and passed on to the Nazis. Benito Mussolini, nicknamed Il Duce, or the leader, swept to power in 1922, beginning 2 decades of totalitarian rule,
Like, she's
marked
going-
by a brutal repression of opponents, concentration camps and invasions abroad.
He came by armored train for the meeting with Senior Mussolini.
Anti-Semitic laws persecuted Jews, worsening after Italy's wartime alliance with Hitler's Germany.
Journey from Germany unless he wanted something.
After the war, a neo-fascist party
Literally
was allowed to
sipping
form,
tea.
and figures from the Mussolini era filled state institutions.
So that's a little just disturbing. This video is about why she's being compared to Mussolini, and yeah, that's exactly what it is. I can't click on. Oh my God! Can I click on this? What?
If you want,
That's wild. So this is from the Times of India. Let me get it to load, I guess, because it's being crazy. What's going on?
if you were born before
There we go.
1971,
I'm gonna have to pause that. Wow, my internet is freaking out right now, and we have not even started. What the hell? Yikes. Okay. Let's thank you, Oshun, for giving us that link.
are you trying to
I
figure
have
out
no
how
idea
you
why my internet was freaking out. I literally could not copy and paste it. Let's see. We're gonna go ahead and skip that. Let's see what we. I'm gonna do a little less talking because I really need to not be.
Io sono Giorgia, sono una donna, sono una madre, sono italiana, sono cristiana, non me lo toglierete!
This is Giorgia Meloni, the first female Prime Minister of Italy. She is also described as the first far-right leader of Italy since Benito Mussolini.
That's
20th
that's
century's
scary.
first fascist dictator of Europe, who founded and led the National Fascist Party from 1925 to 1945. He was Hitler's ally during World War II. But why is Giorgia Meloni being compared to a brutal fascist dictator? What is Giorgia Meloni's story?
Niente altre parole. Giorgia Meloni.
Meloni was born on January 15, 1977 in Rome. She has been active in politics and activism since her teenage years. In 1992, Meloni joined the youth wing of neo-fascist political party called the Italian Social Movement. This party was created in 1946 by the supporters of the fascist dictator Benito Mussolini. She later became the national leader of National Alliance student movement. At the age of 19, Meloni told a French TV network that Mussolini was a good politician. Whatever he did for Italy. This was while she was campaigning for the far
Yikes. Yikes is right. I mean, that's like that literally sounds, that would be the equivalent of saying Nixon was a good politician because he got elected and was charismatic or whatever. Never mind Watergate. It's like saying Trump is a good politician because he's charismatic and creating zealots out of thin air. It's like saying Hitler's a good politician because he led Germany during World War II and created a bunch of social programs. Like, no. No. It's not how that works.
She also makes headlines with her opposing discourse on homosexuals and gender identity.
Zelensky, che voglio ringraziare.
She has successfully lured the international allies with her solid pro-NATO approach and support for Ukraine, and enticed the Italian population with her anti-immigration and anti-LGBTQ views.
Doesn't that sound familiar?
She is also known for being anti-drugs and anti-abortion, although she insists that abortion should not be banned. She also stands out with her anti-Muslim messages on her Twitter account. Meloni, who is firmly tied to Christian traditions, is also sensitive about the protection of Christians. Meloni does not hide her stance against Turkey's EU membership either, and she has consistently bashed Macron, blaming the French president for the waves of migration Italy faces.
Dear friends of the National Italian American Foundation,
Meloni compares her party to the US Republican Party and UK's Conservative Party, in which
Wait a second. We're going to have to hear that part again. I'm going to have to turn that up for myself.
Meloni compares her party to the US Republican Party and
So she feels comfortable comparing her party and presumably her rhetoric and politics to that of the modern day Republican Party in America. A self-proclaimed fascist who hates immigrants, hates abortion, hates Muslims, wants to support Ukraine, is probably on the side of Israel, thinks Mussolini wasn't a bad guy. Trump said, there were good people on both sides during World War II when discussing the Nazis. So, not the best take, if we're being honest here. Yowza.
UK's Conservative Party, in which patriotism and family values are celebrated while political correctness and global elites are criticized. But Meloni still embraces an old slogan adopted by Mussolini's fascists: God,
Lord.
fatherland, and family. Giorgia Meloni's ascent in politics is not only a testament to her skill, but also a notable moment in Italian history.
Her Excellency Miss Giorgia Meloni, Prime Minister
Georgina
of Italy.
Meloni.
Being the first female Prime Minister is a significant feat, further amplified as she emerges from the far-right political spectrum, a first since World War II.
I firmly believe that there's a lot that we can do together, and I'm not sure if this will lead me to the approval rate that the Prime Minister Modi has reached. I think he's the most loved one of all around the world. But I mean, this has really proven that he has been a major leader, and congratulations for that, Prime Minister.
From breaking news, detailed analysis.
For breaking glass ceilings. First female prime minister, outstanding. First alt-right wing leader since Mussolini. That's that's not a glass ceiling that we should be wanting to break. And so yeah, with Italy apparently joining the ranks of the alt-right, that's pretty much full circle in a century, isn't it? Like literally full circle in a century. We've gone right back to fascism. We've gone right back to just the same powder keg situation and circumstances. The economy, society, culture, disparagement against minority groups, immigrants and brown people, and so on and so forth. Not good. Oh, sure, she gets a pass because she's the overseas darling of Team Red. Had Team Blue overseas said this, it'd be evil. Well, that's, I mean... Yeah, but also Team Blue, I don't think would have ever tried to compare themselves to Mussolini. I think that's kind of the problem. And I believe India's Modi is also a problematic leader. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I'm fairly certain that he was in the news as well recently for some questionable things. Let's see. We're going to make that font a little bit bigger too, because again, Grandpa's eyes cannot see that. There we go. Okay, so he is terrible. Just making sure. Just wanted to make sure I was right. And that brings us to... actually, I don't remember now. So we had her. We had Biden being really creepy and weird. Next on the list is the Supreme Court. We should actually do that. There can be some good stuff on there. Or no, what was I here? This was the React hour. Oh my God! What is this?
Democracy Now! Democracy Now!
What happened here? Why does chat look like that? And of course I can't fix it because XSplit is now freezing on me. That's incredible. That's incredible. All right, we'll play it because I don't think me opening this up.
I'm Mimi Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. We end today's show with a landmark ruling in a case that sought to hold a major U.S. corporation liable for its links to human rights abuses in another country. On Monday,
we definitely need to get rid of that.
A federal jury ordered Chiquita Brands International to pay over $38 million in damages to the families of 8 Colombian men who were killed by paramilitaries that Chiquita funded. The banana giant previously pleaded guilty to paying the far-right United...
Hold on, I'm sorry. I thought I had all this taken care of, but you know me. I'm just Grandpa trying to figure out how to do Twitch streaming. I'm like the most boomer millennial on this earth right now, and it's kind of sad. Before I adjust things and probably make them worse again, she makes Margaret Thatcher look like a commie. So the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, then upholds the abortion pill. They are all over the place. I could not agree more. In fact, we're gonna expand that a little bit. There we go. And then let's see. We're going to build this. Hopefully. Okay, there. Sorry. Okay. Maybe now we can watch. I know I said we were going to do the Supreme Court, but I had set us up for the Banana Republic.
Self-defense forces.
So, if you... Okay, so... sorry, I'm all over the place. Chiquita is, of course, a banana brand. crazy, right? And it's an American brand too. Where do you grow bananas in America? You don't, as it turns out. You go to Colombia and massacre families who are farmers, who are banana farmers, and then you take their product and you resell it in American grocery stores for dirt cheap because now they're dead and they don't have any other say. And because of that, there was a 17-year just straight up lawsuit where they were trying. Well, we'll hear it, but that's the background here, is that American companies, capitalism, have been engaging in actual like murder of innocent civilians for profit gain. Not sure. There we go. Doesn't do any good if it shows held the message and then, okay. I think XSplit really makes it difficult to do Twitch chat for some reason. I'm gonna have to find a different thing, apparently. I've had messages coming in debating me from some religious weirdo, I guess you could call him a fanatic, who's saying repent to Pride Month people posting about it, but can't address why he puts it to Christ, will handle people who side with his political views. He's obviously a Maloney supporter. Yeah. If I understood what you were getting at there, yeah, the alt-right doesn't care about facts or debate or intellectualism. They care about spouting their nonsense and getting as many people to hear it as possible to try and be as loud and obnoxious as possible so it looks like they won the debate while you're just standing there looking at them like this.
Of Colombia paramilitary group known as the AUC, $1.7 million from 2001 to 2004, which Chiquita argued it did to protect its workers. The AUC has been found responsible for committing mass human rights abuses and murdering civilians from 1997 to 2006. Federal prosecutors argued Chiquita's support for the AUC was, quote, prolonged, steady, and substantial. This is Raquel Sena, widow of one of the killed farm workers, responding to the jury's decision.
I'm never going to overcome his death.
I hope you guys can hear that.
We want Chiquita brands to acknowledge us because they're the ones who paid for people to get killed here.
Meanwhile, Colombian President Gustavo Petro responded to the ruling with a post on X asking, quote, why could U.S. justice determine in judicial truth that Chiquita brands finance paramilitarism in Urabá? Why couldn't Colombian justice?
I was under the impression this was Colombian justice, but apparently it was an American court that investigated Chiquita and found them culpable in literally aiding and abetting rebel forces and massacring innocent civilians. And that's just blatantly insane to me. And it's obviously not limited to Chiquita brands. I mean, again, the military-industrial complex is why we were in the Middle East and why we were in Vietnam and why we are now aiding and abetting Israel. Every time there's a conflict, Raytheon, the big 5 or 6 or whatever they are, they go up in stock prices because they know. So I'm wondering when U.S. justices will determine the judicial truth about, you know, Lockheed and Martin and Raytheon and RTX and whatever they call themselves nowadays, for their involvement in influencing foreign policy to sell weapons systems and commit atrocities abroad as well. That would be interesting. Yeah, in other words, when called on why he doesn't call on sinners to repent who side with his political views, he changes it from Jesus calls on you to make people a disciple to Christ has got this. So I don't have to call on them to repent. Sin as much as you want, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? As soon as the turn tables, then all of a sudden it's whoa. And that's why I don't like debating religious people at all, for one, and why fundamentalism, specifically religious fundamentalism, has no business in politics, because you're no longer discussing policy, you're no longer discussing issues or solutions. You're literally just hedging all your bets on your faith and disingenuously arguing based on that. It's not okay.
Chiquita is one of the world's largest banana producers and says it plans to appeal the jury's verdict. For more, we're joined by Marco Simons, General Counsel for Earth Rights International, part of the legal team that represented plaintiffs in this case against Chiquita. He's joining us from Washington, D.C., where he's just returned from Florida. Welcome to Democracy Now! Marco, if you can start off by talking about exactly what the jury ruled, who these families were, and the larger political picture of Chiquita. Ultimately, it's not only about Chiquita in Colombia, Chiquita, which earlier was United Fruits, but throughout Latin America.
My foreign policy is actually to offer Puerto Rico statehood, for the same reason I want to offer indigenous peoples in America statehood and all U.S. territories statehood. And if they do choose instead to turn down statehood and have independence, I would also be okay with that. Because, again, on the one hand, right, we talked about Texas seceding. Would I be okay with that? No, I wouldn't. And I'd be really petty about it. I'd let them secede and then cut them off from the rest of the world. And then when they couldn't do anything about it, I'd be like, all right, you want to come back? Cool. All of you that voted to secede and were part of the administration and political, group that pushed for it, y'all going to prison and y'all's assets is getting y'alled. The people are just going to have to get, re-assimilated to being American again. But other, like I said, U.S. territories, they're essentially sovereign states that we just happen to occupy with military forces and abuse the hell out of. So that's how I would be.
And Central America in particular.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, so Oshun, you'd actually be for independence as opposed to statehood? Would you care to give your reasons for that? I'd be very interested.
Thank you for that. So the jury in this case ruled that Chiquita was responsible for financing the AUC paramilitary death squads over a period of at least 7 years, found that Chiquita was unreasonable in the legal sense of that in doing so, and that this funding contributed to the deaths of the plaintiff's family members at issue here. And importantly, the jury also specifically rejected Chiquita's defense that they had put up, which was that they were extorted and under duress, that essentially they were making these payments in order to save lives. The jury ruled that Chiquita did not meet any of the requirements for the duress defense. They found that Chiquita was not under an imminent threat, that Chiquita essentially voluntarily put itself in a position where they would have to make these payments, and that they found that Chiquita had other options other than to make these payments. So even if you believe that, Chiquita's argument that, they were essentially forced to make these payments, that's not a legal excuse for their responsibility here. Now, we don't believe that that was the case. We believe the evidence that was put in front of the jury showed that Chiquita essentially had a partnership with the paramilitaries, that they voluntarily paid these groups in order to protect Chiquita against left-wing guerrillas and essentially to pacify the operating environment in the banana-growing region of Colombia. Now, it's important to note that these 8 deaths represent only the start of Chiquita's potential liability for its conduct, not the end of it. These deaths represent less than 1% of the claims for killings that have been filed against Chiquita in U.S. courts. There are thousands of claims that have been filed. And so if you do the math from the verdict here, Chiquita's potential exposure in potential future trials for more victims is well into the billions of dollars.
That's what we wanted to hear. Sorry, I'm not doing as much talking, and I'm trying to respond to a few messages that have nothing to do with the stream. As you know, I am doing this full time, so to speak, but I'm also seeking to leverage positions that are remote and allow me to work freely from home, so I can still dedicate time to this, to the channels, and building the platform. And I'm getting some of that correspondence, so I obviously want to be timely with that. I think you want independence because most of them are Latin American, and America today is not too good for Latin Americans or Latin people because they don't have enough people in the House. Sort of. It's more so the just blatant racism and discrimination of the border crisis. The snobbish tossing out supplies during a disaster did themselves no favors for no independence. Well, that was Trump being a bastard. That wasn't them just throwing away supplies. That may be a long discussion that we could do live someday, but the short answer is an MLK quote: "I fear I am integrating my people into a burning house." To be fair, I know you also have different views on, if the South should rise again, that we should just let them. So yeah, we won't get into that now. I apologize. I'm really gonna have to stop talking, apparently. But I think if we have a moral and ethical system in place that supports people and holds corporations accountable and holds politicians accountable, especially for dangerous, anti-Latinx rhetoric and stuff like that, I think you would be surprised just how open-armed the United States as a country could be. I want to bring back that whole melting pot idea. I want to bring back the idea that we are a nation of many coming together as one. And I think we are stronger when we have other cultures and other opinions and other views and walks of life working together for one common cause, improving the world that we live in, starting with our own country. So you're right. That could be something we do live one day, and you can fisticuffs me and I'll say why, as president, I think it's possible. Maybe you want to give a holiday day for biggest days, a religion like Islam and the Jews. So again, when it comes to federal regulations and especially holidays, separation of church and state, right? So what I would actually rather do is, it's kind of cheeky, but make federal holidays, make enough federal holidays so that there is one federal holiday every single week, and that it rotates to be on a Friday, just to be that much more accessible. So that although my labor and tax reform policy integrates a 4 or 5 and a 3-day work week, I would effectively turn it into a 4-day work week regardless, with a paid day off on top of that. So I think that could be a pretty interesting way to solve that problem. Maybe that Friday happens to be good for Islamic tradition or good for Jewish tradition or Hindu or Buddhist tradition, and we can make it, something similar. But to outright, do, like, we shouldn't be recognizing Christmas as a country is honestly, if we're going to recognize that particular holiday, we need to call it Festivus or something along those lines that has no religious connotation, and just call it, the winter celebration or whatnot. The fact that we are giving it Christmas and Christmas Eve is a problem. I find is an actual problem. Same thing with Easter and Good Friday, because those are religious holidays for one faith. And if we're not going to honor, Hanukkah, Jesus. If we're not going to honor Hanukkah, for instance, but we're going to honor Christmas, then that's a problem. How dare you promote multiculturalism and not demand the non-same color people as you go out to the fields and pick in the crops to feed the homogenous among you? I know. What a bastard. What a thought. You should read Pon Casilla in English. That's my country principles. Pon Casilla. Okay. I'm not going to be able to read that today. Pon Casilla. Oh, it's Panthasila. It's a Sanskrit expression meaning 5 pillars. Oh, okay. So, Indonesia. Yeah, we can do that. Oh, it downloaded as a PDF. That's not what I wanted. But yeah, I'll keep that in a tab and get to it. Definitely not doing good right now, guys.
So we think this is a tremendous victory. We're incredibly gratified for the jury's verdict and for their service here over 6 weeks of trial with more than 60 witnesses and thousands of pages of evidence. But this is only the start of the judicial reckoning for Chiquita. I would also say that, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Marco, I wanted to ask you if you could talk about the original or the prior 2007 Chiquita Brand guilty plea to criminal charges that basically paved the way for this case?
Yeah, so in 2007, Chiquita pled guilty to a federal felony for essentially making financial transactions with a terrorist organization, which was the AUC paramilitaries, which was prohibited under U.S. federal law. And so they paid a $25 million fine at that point, but none of that money went to the victims of their conduct. Later that year, we filed suit. And for the past 17 years, we have been trying to get justice together with half a dozen different law firms who are also representing clients against Chiquita. And so this is the first step toward actually seeing that justice come to fruition. The federal prosecution of Chiquita was an important step in this process, but it's not necessarily the basis for these claims. The basis for the claims is Chiquita's conduct over more than 7 years during the Colombian armed conflict.
That guy is going to put me and everyone else to sleep. So we're going to skip on ahead. Basically, Chiquita, a literal banana company in America, was literally found guilty and fined before. It was fined before and is now found guilty of basically funding terrorists to support their business, which is insane. But that does bring us to where were we? We were at Destiny versus Finkelstein. So we're gonna do Destiny versus Finkelstein. I'm gonna let that play for a minute because I need to step away for a second. My throat is not doing good. So I'm going to let that play for a few minutes.
Anything over the internet, I cannot think of a more seamless way.
But I'm going to have to step away for a second.
The court is not asked at this present phase of the proceedings to determine whether South Africa's allegations of genocide are well-founded. They're not well-founded. They're not even well-founded. The court is. You said that plausible was a high standard. It is absolutely not. It is a misrepresentation of the strength of the case against Israel, just like the majority of the quotes they have in this case are. And also, you said it was an extremely well-founded case. They spend like 1/4 of all of the quotations, some even pulled from the Goldstone report, that try to that actually deal with the intent part. Which is, by the way, I think you guys, I don't know if you use the phrase, the dolo specialis, that the intentional part of genocide.
Sorry, I don't know that term.
I think it's called dolo specialis. It is the most important part of genocide, which is proving it is a highly special intent to commit genocide. It's possible that Israel could.
That's mens rea.
No. The mens rea, yes, I understand the state of mind, but for genocide, it's called dolo specialis. It's a highly special intent. Did you read the case?
Yeah.
It is
Mr.
a highly
Farrelly,
special intent.
I'm going to ask you again.
Genocide. Yes.
Please stop displaying your imbecility.
Okay, I'm sorry if you think the declaration of the judge is imbecile.
Don't put on public display that you're a moron. At least have the self-possession to shut up. Did I read the case?
Putting my display on camera. If you're comfortable putting yours in books.
Okay? I read the case around 4 times. I read all of the majority opinion, the declarations. I read Aaron Barak's declaration.
Then why are you lying and saying plausible is a high standard?
Because I said, even reaching the benchmark of plausibility is a very high standard in the world. It's the equivalent of a regional player qualifying for an Olympics. It's still 2 steps removed. You may not be on the team and you may not get a medal, but to get qualified, which in this context is the equivalent of plausible, you must be doing something pretty horrible. As it happens, Professor Morris,
there wasn't a genocide. That's what the court will rule. Remember what I just told you. The court.
I don't expect to be even around when the court reaches its final decision. Why? It'll take a long, long time.
2 years, 3 years.
No, I don't think it'll take 2 or 3 years.
I mean, Bosnia, which was admittedly a special type of case because they were accusing Serbia of sponsoring the Bosnian Serbs. That took, I think, 17 years from 90.
I assume they'll take 2 or 3 years.
But the point you're making, so this
I'm
is
saying
illegal.
that something horrible must be happening to even achieve.
It is horrible. It's a war.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's horrible.
But I think
they weren't rendering a ruling on a war. They were rendering a ruling on a genocide.
And I think the suggestion.
And they said it was plausible. They also said it was plausible that Israel is committing a military operation as well.
Yeah, but I think the problem with your characterization is you're saying in so many words the South Africans basically only have to show up in court with a coherent statement.
Yes, that is correct.
In today's atmosphere, that's probably correct.
They needed to do a lot more.
They
needed.
I mean, they obviously had to do a lot more. You can't just go to the United Nations and say, guilty! Without any evidence, especially the ally of the most powerful nation on earth. You couldn't do that, and you wouldn't do that. So you have 2, I'm assuming, bona fide experts in the field right here talking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And what? 2 YouTubers arguing off of Fox News talking points? Like, everyone in that room is a scholar. I am way more educated than Destiny, and I wouldn't dare debate any of them. Not even the Zionist guy, because he's an actual historian. Oh, okay. So everybody except for Destiny has some clout. Yeah, they have to go back 2,500 years just to make some arguments. And Palestine was a country in existence at that time already anyway. So it just boggles the mind.
They needed to
The
persuade.
Today's atmosphere.
The American judge.
They needed to persuade.
Judges go according to what the majority want to hear.
Yeah, but they needed
president.
I feel like Destiny is desperately trying to fact check this and is flustered that he's wrong.
They needed to persuade the court that it was worth investing several years of their time in hearing this case.